see how it sounds. How is it sounding to you? It shouldn't be clipping too much. We're good? All right, let's bump both of these up. How's that? Oh, sorry. I thought you were looking at the... Okay. Let's see if I'm shouting. Is it going to go into the red? All right, I think we're all right. Okay. After a 21-day hiatus spurred by winter break and COVID cancellations, UMass Boston women's basketball has a chance to kick off their 2022 right as they head into the extended conference slate. Their opponent, the Plymouth State Panthers, looking to get their season on track and secure their first conference win. Live from the Clark Athletic Center in Boston, Massachusetts, I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so much for joining us. UMass Boston and Plymouth State coming up on the LEC network. Finally getting to play a game again after a 3-week hiatus, and a lot of the teams in the LEC here have not played as many games as they otherwise would have. This is the cost exacted by it. The Omicron variant. Games have been postponed. It's hopefully being played later in January or in February. Some games have been canceled outright. It depends on the case. Both of these teams trending toward the bottom of the LEC standings, but maybe not quite in the same position. For UMass Boston, they're 2-7 overall. They are 1-2 in the conference slate they have played so far. Plymouth State, 1-7 overall, 0-3 in conference, still looking for their first LEC win. But for UMass Boston, it was tricky enough to try to keep your roster full in a COVID-influenced season, but the challenge of injuries has kept some people out as well as the case of Kaylee Haynes, who was not so much hurt, but was needing to have a little bit of rest, recuperation, and adjustment time as she plays for the women's soccer team at UMass Boston as well, and was not ready to jump into a basketball season after a full soccer season. So the Beacons, under the guidance of first-year head coach Heather Jacobs, are still getting some of the pieces in their arsenal up to playing shape. They're still learning how to play together as a unit. This is a team with a whole lot of freshmen here. This is a team with a lot of youth. This is a team whose leading scorer, who we will get to in a minute, despite being a senior, has not played as much time as you would expect a senior to have played, and that is due to an injury. But UMass Boston trying to make a statement here, and the upside of there being so few conference games played thus far is that even though they're 1-2 in conference, a win here for UMass Boston would send them up to 4th place. None of the other LEC teams are playing today in conference. Rhode Island College is playing Emerson at 1 p.m. That's an out-of-conference matchup. WestCon and Keene State were supposed to square off today. That game has been postponed. And so these two teams with a chance to hop up in the standings. For Plymouth State, a chance to secure their first conference win. For UMass Boston, a chance to hop up to an even 2-2 in conference play. A couple of things to watch. Both of these teams are going to be playing a little bit depleted. We don't know exactly what the rationale is for some of them. Some is undoubtedly due to COVID. We don't want to speculate or talk about individual cases. But needless to say, both of these teams are going to be a little depleted. They expect to be going 9 deep. Look at foul trouble. We will check on it throughout the game to see which teams are going to be playing in foul trouble and thus are going to need to go 8 deep or even 7 deep. We will see how UMass Boston's lack of size is going to be a hindrance, but then again, maybe not. They have Vienna Monestein back. We should expect to see her. May see some minutes from Sarah St. Cyrin. That was not the case earlier in the year. And Plymouth State does not exactly have the height to make UMass Boston pay. They've only got one player in the lineup towering above 5'9". That would be Emma McCulloch, the freshman forward. 5'10" she stands. UMass Boston might even have the height advantage in this one against Plymouth. We're going to get to the stat breakdowns a little bit later, but for the moment, we're going to check out the last home game that UMass Boston played against these Panthers. It was a game on January 22nd of 2020, almost 2 years ago, and UMass Boston turned that one into a rout.
Seasons. UMass Boston would like to congratulate Jamie on this amazing achievement.
We're going to give you some of the preview of the players to watch here. On the UMass Boston side, it's going to be Jashari Green. She's wearing number 12 in white. She's had a very eventful freshman campaign here, especially in the early going. When the team was still finding its identity, it was still missing a lot of its key pieces, whether to adjustment or injury or any other reason. And Jashari Green carried the mantle. She's won LEC Rookie of the Year twice. The first after averaging 15 points and 8 rebounds through the team's first 3 games. Then for notching her second double-double later on in the season. She's averaging 13 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 45% shooting from the floor. Good for 7th, 3rd, and 2nd in the conference, respectively. On the Plymouth State side, it's going to be Sabrina Vlahovic. She's wearing number 2 in the visiting green and gray jerseys. Vlahovic has had a great season as well. 11 points per game, a little more than 11 points per game. Good for 10th in the conference. 7.4 rebounds per game puts her at 6th. She is one of the better free throw shooters to be found in the LEC. 84% from the charity stripe. Tied for 8th with 8 assists per game. 5th in the conference in steals, 7th in minutes. She will look to carry a lot of the load here for Plymouth State. We're going to take a quick break here for the national anthem and be right back with the opening tip. You're watching UMass Boston women's basketball on the LEC network. Stick around. As the PA announcer gives the starting lineups, we are going to do the exact same over here. Like I said in the pregame, both teams expect to go 9 deep here. The 5 of the 9 starting for Plymouth State, it is going to be Sabrina Vlahovic, the player to watch. Top 10 in the LEC in points, in rebounds, in free throws and assists, in steals, and in minutes. She has held the torch more than any other player for this Plymouth State Panthers team and will continue to do so as they aim for their first conference win. Alongside her will be Sarah Sweet, Jalen Cook, Haley Hurd, and Alessia Salzillo. On the UMass Boston side, it's going to be Meg Dixon, Kat Sullivan, Carrie-Ann Farina, Jashari Green, and Sunny Green. No relation. Jashari Green, LEC Rookie of the Week twice this season. Top 10 in the conference in several categories. She's 3rd in rebounding, 2nd in field goal percentage. She's had a highly efficient downhill drive to the basket kind of season. 13 points per game to her name as well. Meg Dixon alongside her in the starting lineup. Absolutely terrific season. Playing her first full season since a horrific knee injury in December of 2018. Almost drove her away from the Beacons entirely. The rehab, the recovery was a lot for her, but she persisted through it. And you look at the numbers she is putting up this season, head coach Heather Jacobs has got to be glad she did. She's won LEC Player of the Week. It was her first since 2017 after a 23-point game in which she scored a career-high 7 3-pointers against WestCon. That was UMass Boston's lone conference win. But Dixon has been working hard to get them some more. 16 points per game, good for 4th in the conference. 9 rebounds a game, good for 2nd. And there are only 2 people to shoot enough 3-pointers in the conference to qualify by the LEC standards for their conference rankings. She is one of them, and she will handle the opening tip here against Jalen Cook. A couple of teams looking to start off 2022 on the right foot, and Plymouth State controls the opening tip. High defensive pressure from the Beacons to start out. Entered into the top of the key. It's Cook, turnaround, lefty, push shot, no good. Loose rebound. And Plymouth is going to earn themselves another possession. Panthers wearing their road green jerseys with a white trim. UMass Boston in the home whites with the blue trim. Cook looking for the handoff, can't find it in tight quarters. She's got 5 seconds to shoot. Step back jumper is good. It's ruled along 2, and Jalen Cook opens the scoring. Kat Sullivan to trigger. Jashari Green on the left wing there, moving right to left, now into the lane, tries a dump off pass, it's picked away. Jalen Cook in transition. It's a 3-on-1 now. Only Dixon's back. And Jalen Cook with back-to-back buckets. Timeout called immediately by Heather Jacobs on the UMass bench. And a rocky start to the game here. She is not liking what she's seeing. It's got Jennifer Peel, Shanice Hill, Jeffrey Swerka on the bench with her. Opposite her, 5th season for Leah Swanson. She's got Dale Emerson alongside her. But it's 4-0 right away. And Plymouth State has very much put the Beacons on the back foot, both from preventable mistakes. And Jalen Cook there to take advantage. First, it was an offensive rebound the Beacons let fall to the floor. They ceded to the Panthers. And Cook hits a difficult step back. A long 2 as the shot clock expires. And then on the turnover from Jashari Green, the Beacons could not get back in time. And Meg Dixon was the only one back. She could not stop the layup. So 4-0 right from the gun. Jacobs going to stick with the same 5 starters she just gave a talking to. Sunny Green, Meg Dixon, Carrie-Ann Farina, Jashari Green, and Kat Sullivan. For Plymouth, it's Salzillo, Cook. Oh, and Meg Dixon trying to answer quickly. No, but the rebound goes to Sullivan. Dump off pass. Farina scores. UMass Boston out of the timeout makes their own use of the offensive rebound. And they are screaming out the defensive coverages here. They are coming out of the timeout with an intensity, trying to earn their first stop. Pass into Salzillo, loses possession briefly, regains, and resets. It's Haley Hurd. Off pass. Oh, Jalen Cook. All 7 points for the Panthers in the early going. Dixon. Little two-man game there with Kat Sullivan. Now they come to the top to Sunny Green. Splits the double team. And a blocking foul underneath. That's going to be a couple of free throws for Sunny Green. (7-2) in the early going. Sunny Green now to the line. Solid free throw shooter at 68%. She's tried the second most free throws on the they're going to call that a foul on the floor. Dixon with a long three-point attempt clangs off the back rim and into the clutches of Sabrina Vlahovic. Top 5 in the conference in rebounds is Vlahovic. Now she goes into Jalen Cook. Can she get her 8th and 9th points? Yes, she can. The junior guard out of Vermont taking it to the Beacons early. Dixon trying to answer. That one's good. And that is what Meg Dixon does for you on her second try. She knocks down the three-pointer, leading the conference in three-point shooting by just about any measurable statistic. 36% on the season for Dixon, and on volume that most of her peers can't fathom. Sarah St. Cyrin going to enter the game now for UMass Boston. Sunny Green to the bench. Haley Hurd going to the bench for Plymouth. In her stead comes Jessica Ruiz. Jalen Cook leading the way for Plymouth. She's got all 9 of their points. 4 of 5 shooting. The pass goes Cook's direction, and Meg Dixon was sitting on the route. Sarah St. Cyrin in here, about 5-6 inches taller than just about everyone else on the floor. They swing to Farina up top. It's short. Plymouth with a chance to run 3-on-2. Dump off pass. And another bucket goes down. Sarah Sweet with the first non-Cook basket of the game. And Plymouth State has run out to a 11-5 lead over the Beacons here. Dixon, long three-pointer. It's good! Meg Dixon has found the range early. 2 of 4 from downtown. And she's keeping the Beacons close. Tie up here with Ruiz, and they're going to call it travel. Ruiz under pressure from Sarah St. Cyrin. And coughs up the ball. Ryla Gonzalez now entering the game. Taking a seat again is Kat Sullivan. Into St. Cyrin. Pass into Dixon. She corrals. Gonzalez for 3. That one's well short. Loose ball. Who's got it? It's Plymouth, and the takeaway from Gonzalez. Inside to St. Cyrin. Looks like they're saying UMass Boston ball. Close one. Looked like St. Cyrin might have touched it last. Into Dixon. She got the position, couldn't get the bunny. Rebound to the Panthers. Panthers looking to run. Can't solve the spacing, though. When it was 6 minutes to go, they're still clinging to an 11-8 lead, but UMass Boston, more accurately Meg Dixon at the very least, has found the range to keep them close. Ruiz blocked from behind by Dixon. 3-on-2. Outlet pass. Dixon to Farina, driving left. Oh, what a pass to Green. Beautiful dump-off pass, and UMass Boston right back in it on the fast break. They spaced it well. They dished it smoothly. And the score now 11-10. The lead has been cut to 1. Everyone getting involved now. Jashari Green off the assist from Carrie Ann Farina, who had her own bucket a moment ago. Meg Dixon leading the way, 6 points. 2 of 5 shooting, 4 of them threes, 2 of them gone down. A steal and a block to her name. And the other standout aspect, and something I normally wouldn't mention this early in the game, but only one foul committed by both teams. That was committed by Sabrina Vlahovic of Plymouth State. Wouldn't normally be on foul watch this early, especially with almost no fouls being committed. It is worth keeping track of because both of these teams playing with depleted rosters. Expect both of them to go maybe 9 deep. Players, aside from normal season wear and tear, certainly spout of COVID cases has definitely played a role. They're fortunate to be able to play. Anyone who's playing any kind of sports these days is fortunate when they can do it safely. But it does mean that those who remain healthy have got to step up. 5 players not active today for Plymouth State. UMass Boston's missing 1 or 2, but they don't have as extensive a roster, and so they wind up in roughly the same position. Long try. Cook rattles that one out. Just her second miss on 6 tries. Fresh 20 seconds on the shot clock here. Alessia Salzillo with a nice bounce into Cook and draws the foul. So Jalen Cook, who is not necessarily an offensive stud on the pattern of, say, Vlahovic, but does average 8.4 points, second on the team, or tied for second on the team. She has had 3 double-digit scoring games this season. 14-pointer against Westfield State in November, and then against WestCon and Keene State in conference in the first week plus of December, 18 and 13 points respectively. So 3 double-digit scoring games make that 4 as the free throw goes down. She's got 10 points, equaling the Beacons' total. Junior out of Moncton, Vermont, 5'8" guard, has been wreaking havoc on the Beacons early. The southpaw has been tearing them up on the drive and with a couple of jumpers. Gonzalez now swing. Beautiful find of Green, cutting to the basket. No good. Loose ball. Green's got it. And up and in goes Jashari Green. 5'6" only, but she stands tall in the interior, one of the better rebounders in the Little East Conference this season. And putback buckets have fueled a decent portion of her diet. Salzillo driving into a thicket of Beacons and is going to earn a couple of free throws out of it. Foul assessed to Sarah St. Surin. That's her second. A big supplier of the size here. Salzillo knocks down the free throw. Excuse me, the foul is assessed to Ryla Gonzalez. Few Beacons in the area, so just her first. Team second. Here is Gonzalez, in and out dribble. To the foul line, to Dixon. Thought about it. Oh, nice cross-court pass to Farina. Jashari Green with a rebound. She is stuffed. The Panthers converging. And now, here is Vlahovic. Carrie-Ann Farina guarding her 35 feet from the bucket. They are going to show her some pressure. Pass over the top to Hurd. In the middle, someone might have gotten a piece. Here's Vienna Monesteem. Still looking for her first strong game of the season. Missed some due to injury. Going to call a hold right there. Assessed against Natalie Harris of Plymouth State. Here's Monesteem. Just 2 games so far. Both of them a little bit rocky this season. But they have hopes for her. Dixon, short on the long 3-point attempt. Jalen Cook. No, not going to get it that time. Off the back of the rim, and the Beacons want to run. Ryla Gonzalez surveying. Finds Farina. Bounce pass. Dixon. Looking perhaps for Jashari Green. Wanted her to fill to the corner. Either way, that's a pass over the head and out of bounds. Now UMass Boston fans are going to get their first look, or not so much the fans, there are no fans here, but the fans watching at home going to get their first look at Paige Olivier. Transfer from Division II Barry University, did not play in the first semester. She played 16 minutes for Barry in the 2020-21 season. Tried just 2 shots, both of them threes, and knocked them both down. She gets her first touch here. Swings to Green. Green now 15 seconds on the shot clock, driving, fires to Dixon. Swings to Olivier. Monesteem driving into the lane, to the block. Stripped, travel. Ref didn't like the cut of the hop step there. 2 minutes 40 to play. (14-12) the score. Plymouth State still clinging to the lead. Hurd pressured out by Monesteem, burns a few seconds there. Shot clock down to 12. Cook driving, stripped from behind. We're going the other way. And Jalen Cook, after a lightning fast start, held in check by the Beacons here into the middle of the period. Kat Sullivan on for Jashari Green. Sunny Green on for Vienna Monesteem. They will join Farina and Dixon and Paige Olivier. Olivier on the right wing fires her first shot as a Beacon, well short and to the right. So her first collegiate miss on her third attempt. And that ball is going to stay here with 2 minutes to play in the quarter and 25 on the clock. Jessica Ruiz re-entering. Haley Hurd going to the bench. Vlahovic to trigger. And Phil to the wing. Alessia Salzillo has taken on a lot of the ball handling duties in the early going here. Plays field hockey for Plymouth State as well. Started as a basketball player. She misfires on the 3. Joined the field hockey team midway through her time at Plymouth State. And started 14 of the 17 games they've played this past 2021 season. Scored her first goal in the season opener. Olivier is going to try again. That one goes down. And the bench erupts for the first Beacon points for Paige Olivier and gives UMass Boston a 1-point lead. Their first of the game. And the Beacons very much seizing the momentum here. Vlahovic on the drive. Oh, what a great cut for Sabrina Vlahovic. And the Panthers take the lead right back. Kat Sullivan marshaling the troops. Pushing in transition. Dixon. And there's a foul call here. Olivier trying to signal, not a moving screen, and the official agrees with her. Foul is assessed to Natalie Harris, it would seem. That's going to be the 4th team foul for the Panthers. And Harris is second. First player in foul trouble. Kat Sullivan crashing the boards here. Up and in. Kat Sullivan, all of 5'6", but making her presence felt on the offensive glass. Chance to go 2 for 1 here for the Panthers if they're quick. Ruiz up top. Thought about it. Instead goes to Cook. Cook doesn't need to be asked twice. Floater in the lane, no good. Dixon grabs the board. Shot clock and game clock roughly even here. Beacons can play for the last shot of the period. Dixon doesn't want it, and she fires another long 3 short. It's going to be a blocking foul in transition as Sullivan gets decked. Looks disappointed with the call. It's a difficult charge to try to get in transition there. The assumption, as Dixon goes to the bench for an extra 18 seconds of rest, the assumption on the referee there is that you've stepped in just to create the charge. They usually aren't inclined to give it to you. It was a borderline call to be sure. 8 seconds to play here. Vlahovic to Ruiz. Ruiz driving around Sullivan. Fires up on no good. Jashari Green. She gets it off. Oh, no good. And that's going to bring us to the end of the period. UMass Boston taking a 1-point lead into the break after a slow start. Behind a couple of threes from Meg Dixon, the activity of Jashari Green, and a smattering of contributions from the guards. We'll be right back. Some momentum to preserve for UMass Boston here into the second period. 17-16 is the score after they went down 9-2. Closed the quarter then on a 15-7 run. Lob over the top here to Farina. Half the shot clock spent, and Sunny Green, the ref knew it right away. Didn't put down the ball fast enough, took the step. And that's something in these LEC games that tends to get called more than in other leagues, at other levels, in other divisions, whatever you want to call it. That quick step that people take when they're trying to put the first dribble down, if you don't get the ball to the floor quickly enough, these officials, why do I need to talk when they're just going to show it in real time? Back-to-back traveling violations, same sort of call there. Step too quickly before you put the ball on the floor, and it'll cost you the possession. Anyone wants to put bets on how many traveling violations are going to be called in this quarter, by all means do it now. Paige Olivier with her second 3 of the game. And UMass Boston with a 4-point lead now. And for Leah Swanson and her Panthers, got to notice the momentum going another way here. They've got to find a way to get their offense back on track. Salzillo fires. That one, oh, you're kidding. On top of the backboard it goes. And someone's going to have to run to get a broom. Kat Sullivan's got an extra ball. We should bargain with the refs. If I can get it in here. Well, she almost did. See, in the NBA when this happens, everyone just thinks, oh, go get Boban Marjanovic. Go find the 7'4" guy. UMass Boston, to their detriment, I suppose, lacks 7-foot-tall people. So they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way you do it on the playground. Go over to the guys on the other side of the court and ask for their ball as a prop. Failing that, the shoes start flying. Olivier misfires on the 3, and Plymouth going back the other way. 20-16 the lead for the Beacons. Alessia Salzillo now. Jashari Green with outstretched arms, pressuring her. Oh, what a crossover to the bucket! Salzillo, quicker than a jackrabbit to the left side of the rim. And Jashari Green caught flat-footed. Olivier swinging the ball now. She's got 2 threes on 2 of 4 from downtown. Already showing up her teammate Meg Dixon a little bit in her first game of the Harbor campus. Entry into Sunny Green. And an offensive foul there. Salzillo taking the charge. Sunny Green standing 5'7". Salzillo just 5'1". It's easier for her to get that call. Not saying it wasn't a charge, but easier for her to get that call. She's giving up 6 inches, and at rough guess, I'd say about 25 pounds. Disadvantage of pressuring insides for a player of her size are obvious, but the bigger players have got to watch out for that sort of contact. Long three-pointer fired, an air ball. Salzillo with a save, but right to Jashari Green. Chance in transition. It's a 4-on-3. Farina into the mid-range. Pass through the hands of Sunny Green, and she'll have to return to fetch it. Farina here has played an active role, a bucket, and a couple of assists. Sunny Green, good hands on the drive, and an in-depth finish. 22-18 the score. Beacons put it back to a 2-possession game. 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Jalen Cook too strong on the offhand layup, and Vlahovic going to earn free throws on the rebound. No one boxed her out. Sabrina Vlahovic, big heavy hitter on offense for this Plymouth team. 11 points per game, putting her 10th in the conference. 7.5 rebounds a game, putting her 6th. But UMass Boston with Jashari Green and Meg Dixon above her in each of those two categories. And Vlahovic's going to have to make a big statement here. Plymouth is going to remain competitive. She knocks down the first of her 2 shots from the charity stripe. And it's a 1-possession game again. Vlahovic, that's an interesting free throw routine. Just twisting the ball over in her hand. Most players, they're going to line up the seams and then spin the ball backwards in place. They're not going to mess with the seams horizontally once they get it there. Vlahovic turns the ball over in her hand like she's flipping a quesadilla. Turns it back and knocks down the second of 2. Jashari Green, bowling ball into the left side of the paint. And no dice. Alessia Salzillo now with a smaller Farina on her. They've had problems covering her, keeping her in front of them and out of the paint. Plymouth with a chance to seize back the momentum here. Vlahovic picked up the dribble and then coughed up the ball. Kat Sullivan as usual, prowling the court. Farina, kick, Green, 3. Oh yeah! Sunny Green. Second field goal of the day is a 3-pointer for her. And the Beacons back up by 5. Jalen Cook misses the handoff there. Free throw line jumper. That one's down. And Jalen Cook, after a hot spell to start the period and a cold spell to conclude it, knocks down another jump shot. She's got 12 to lead all scorers. Green driving, and that's going to be a travel, and they saw it the whole way. Fumbled the dribble a little bit while she was trying to pick the ball up, and the extra step that necessitated cost the Beacons yet another possession. 6 turnovers for UMass Boston, 8 for Plymouth. And a big advantage in points off turnovers for the Beacons. They have not been on the worst side of the turnover battle. And part of that is Plymouth has had many more live ball turnovers. Traveling calls at least don't cause... Oh, Salzillo with a scoop layup. The traveling calls at least do not prompt fast breaks. But Heather Jacobs, I'm sure, would still like to see fewer. The transition opportunity there. And the lead now cut to 1. Dixon on the drive. Blocking foul. Cook normally would have the right of way there, but she found herself in the restricted area. The heels betray the body there, and Dixon to the charity stripe for 2. First shot is up and straight through for Dixon. 87% free throw shooter on the season. And that'll take it up another couple of ticks. Make that 88 for Meg Dixon. She's got 8 points on the day. Wide open shot there for Natalie Harris, but a long rebound comes to her teammate Vlahovic. Jalen Cook spots the entry pass. Ruiz, kick out. Vlahovic, 3 in rhythm. No good. But Jalen Cook diving to the floor. Farina fighting with the ball with her hands behind her back and earns the jump ball. It's going to keep it at Plymouth State's end, but gives them the possession arrow. We're going to keep it here during the timeout. It's Carrie-Ann Farina. After UMass Boston fails to corral the rebound, looking like Harry Houdini with her hands behind her back, fighting for the ball and earning at least something out of the possession for the Beacons. But Plymouth State has figured out a couple of things. And a chance for UMass Boston to open up a double-digit lead in the second quarter, which the momentum seemed to foretell, is slipping away from him here. Paige Olivier knocks down a couple of three-pointers. Meg Dixon of the charity stripe does well. But it has been Alessia Salzillo. 6 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist to her name. She has played every minute of this game, as has her teammate Cook and Vlahovic, as has Carrie-Ann Farina on the Beacon side. But Salzillo, joining Jalen Cook as the key contributors for a Plymouth State Panthers team, refusing to go away. Midway through the second quarter now, Heather Jacobs going to send Farina and Green, Ryla Gonzalez, Meg Dixon, and Kat Sullivan out there. Leah Swanson counters. Jalen Cook, Natalie Harris, Jessica Ruiz, Alessia Salzillo, and Sabrina Vlahovic. Pass broken up by Sunny Green there, almost forces a turnover. But they'll trigger from the hash mark next to the Beacons bench. "19 seconds on the shot clock as they enter it into Vlahovic. Nice pass to Salzillo in the middle, face up. A couple of jackrabbit dribbles. Goodness, she's quick. Eerily specific recollection here, I guess. Reminds me a lot of my dad's old Honda Civic. 1988 model, was about 3 inches off the ground, and it looked like it was moving like a race car. You look at Alessia Salzillo, much smaller than most of the players out there on the floor, but she's got wheels. She changes direction quickly, and she is hard to keep in front. Good pass there into Harris. Reverse layup is good, plus a foul. Salzillo from the top with a gorgeous entry pass. And Natalie Harris finishes it off through contact. Chance to tie the game here at the foul line. Heather Jacobs wants a little bit of extra size in there. Gets Paige Olivier at 5'8", Jashari Green at 5'6" in there. And that one going in was the only thing that saved Jashari Green from a lane violation. In all likelihood, that was getting reshot if it was missed. But it goes down to tie the game at 27 apiece, 4 minutes 10 remaining in the second period of play. UMass Boston into their set. Olivier picking off a pass intended for Sullivan. Farina around the screen now, into the middle. Kat Sullivan calling for it, drives into traffic, stripped, dives on the floor. Was she on the end line? Yes, she was. Going the other way, very dangerously caught a Plymouth State leg in there. I think the official cautious of what he was going to say next to avoid a unnecessary contact after the whistle. The players had gotten tangled up. Plymouth State with a chance to regain the lead. It would be their first lead of the second. Jalen Cook, under duress, knocks it down. She's got 15 to lead all scorers. 6 of 11 on the day, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Kick out. Olivier, deep three. She answers. Paige Olivier flame throwing in the second quarter. She's got 9 points, all of them from three. Salzillo, no one picked the ball up, and they just shut off the driving lane in the nick of time. Natalie Harris, entry. Jalen Cook. Oh, what a beautiful entry pass to Ruiz, but the Beacons neutralize the shot and stuff it back where it came from. Looked like Meg Dixon on the block. That would be her second of the game. Heather Jacobs calling the set out. Plymouth State setting up what seems to be a 2-3 zone, a little bit of a loose 2-3 zone here. They were playing that earlier. Jashari Green swings Farina back to Green up top. UMass Boston probing for an opening in the zone. Olivier drives, not sure what to do with it. Green with a rebound and bails her out. The threes that Paige Olivier have been taking, and in the first period Meg Dixon as well, are the sort of shots that the 2-3 zone is going to allow. Three-pointers, especially deep ones. The shots will be available. And as long as UMass Boston is shooting 40% from downtown, which they have been so far, they are content with those shots. But it's when you try to drive the ball into a 2-3 zone that you run into some problems. Jashari Green knocks down her first free throw. The Beacons have had more success with offensive rebounds and putbacks than they have at straight up driving the ball. Most of the baskets they've gotten down low have been either those putbacks or transition buckets before the zone could get set up. In particular, before that backline three defenders could set up. Plymouth pushing in transition. Salzillo short. Dixon flying in to cradle the board. Outlet pass, Farina into the middle. Sullivan, Dixon, in rhythm three. Oh, yeah. Meg Dixon finding the range from downtown. That's her third three-pointer of the day. Matching her new teammate, Paige Olivier, and giving the Beacons a 4-point lead. Lahovic, short. Rebound falls to Sullivan. Running with Green and Farina. She picks Green to the bucket. Oh, and a gorgeous, beautiful textbook 3-on-2 there from the Beacons. Timeout Plymouth State, and UMass Boston seizing the momentum again. Up by 6 now, their biggest lead of the afternoon. Meg Dixon, 11 points to lead them. Olivier chipping in with 9. Multiple field goals apiece from Carrie-Ann Farina, from Jashari Green, and from Sunny Green. On the opposite side, it's Jalen Cook with 15 points on 6 of 11 shooting, who has carried the torch. Alessia Salzillo pitching in with 6 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, and a whole lot of ball handling responsibility to keep Plymouth State active. The offensive rebound category has been dangerous. 6-4 in favor of Plymouth State, despite their smaller size. They're leading in rebounds in general as well. But UMass Boston taking control of the transition game early. The turnover battle roughly even. The steals battle is not. 4-1 in favor of UMass Boston. That means more live ball turnovers for the Panthers and chances for the Beacons to run. And the Beacons are going to do a different kind of running here as they enter into a full court press right away. Plymouth breaks it, earns a 2-on-1. Jalen Cook makes them pay for it. Poised, calm, confident out of the timeout. Plymouth State breaks the press and is going to make Heather Jacobs perhaps think twice about showing it to them again. Leads cut to 4. Farina to Sullivan to Jashari Green on the left wing, driving to the foul line, picks up the dribble. 10 seconds to shoot now for the Beacons. Farina probing, Sullivan, 3. Oh! Maybe not the shot they wanted to start the possession, but Kat Sullivan made it a good one. Up to Jalen Cook, bounce into the middle. Sullivan breaks up the pass. A minute remaining in the second quarter. UMass Boston, behind some stellar three-point shooting more than just about anything else, 8 of 17 so far have kept the lead. Vienna Monostim checking back in to give Kat Sullivan a breather. She has been working her tail off the whole game. Sarah Sweet driving left, no good. Vlahovic blocked from behind, but a foul. Jashari Green coming in hot from the elbow to the block. First personal for Jashari Green, 8th team foul. So UMass Boston has put Plymouth State in the bonus. UMass Boston would be in the bonus themselves at the next foul. Just 50 seconds to play here. Vlahovic turns the ball over once and fires. Can't get the roll. Do a foul trouble check here. Natalie Harris of Plymouth State has had a couple fouls. She has not played a ton since she picked up her second. Just 10 minutes in the game. Jashari Green, Sunny Green, Ryla Gonzalez of the Beacons, all with 2 fouls. Not a cause for major concern. But again, something to keep our eyes on when the third quarter begins. Paige Olivier to trigger now. And now Plymouth showing the full court press. Jashari Green blows past Salzillo. Dixon, corner 3, no good. Salzillo grabs the board. Pushing in transition. And Jashari Green shuts off the lane. Salzillo's going to burn a little bit of clock here. 2-for-1 opportunities gone. UMass Boston should have the last shot here. Plymouth trying to trim into a 2-possession lead. Step back, Sarah Sweet. Oh, that one was halfway down and came back out. Dixon in transition. Paige Olivier. Crossover. Out to Green. Finds Dixon. 3 seconds to shoot. Dixon baseline to Monostim. Well short. Perhaps getting a piece of it was Haley Hurd. And that'll take us to the intermission. Exciting back and forth action here from the Clark Athletic Center. And UMass Boston, behind some strong three-point shooting and good transition play, has held a 6-point lead over the Plymouth State Panthers. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with some first half analysis, some highlights, and more. Stick around.
It don't mean a thing if I give you my heart. If you tear it apart, no, it don't mean a thing if I in your eyes, honey, ain't gonna fly, no, What do you think, Guru Rock? Are you ready? A little party never kill nobody. We gon' dance until we drop the song. A little party never kill nobody. Right here, right now, is all we got. Oh, a little party never kill nobody. So we gon' dance until we drop. A little party never kill nobody.
And we are back. Milton Posner here from the Clark Athletic Center in Boston, Massachusetts, where UMass Boston leads Plymouth State 39-33. You can see the halftime stats there. The ones that stand out, you have to look at the three-point shooting. UMass Boston 8 of 18 from beyond the arc. Plymouth just 2 of 7. Half the efficiency, about half the attempts. A lot of the other categories are more even than you'd think. But it's three-point shots and a couple more easy transition baskets that have prompted a 6-point Beacon lead. Going to take a look at the LEC out-of-town scoreboard. It's not a whole lot going on in the conference today. Only one team playing a game, and it's going to be Emerson College facing off against Rhode Island College. Rhode Island College is, let's just say they are winning by many points. By a preposterous, garish, unfair, borderline rude number of points, 28 of them to be precise, at the halftime break. We're going to take a look also, we're going to switch gears a little bit here and show you some of the highlights from last night's men's hockey game. 5-0 win over Skidmore behind 4 goals in a dynamite second period. I was fortunate enough to call that game with our good friend Matthew Meisenbacher. We're going to show you some of the highlights from that one and be right back with a second half of UMass and Plymouth State basketball.
So y'all better check your recipes. Why?
And now, to conclude our halftime show, we're going to get a live look at the referees playing a game of, I don't know, horse here. So we're going to check out what they can do. Or not. Welcome back to the Clark Athletic Center. I'm Milton Posner. You are watching UMass Boston women's basketball take on Plymouth State. And so far, they're taking them on. 39-33 is the score. UMass with 11 points from their star forward Meg Dixon, 9 points from their new find Paige Olivier. Plymouth State countering 17 points, almost a season high just for the first half from Jalen Cook, 6 points and a whole smattering of other contributions from field hockey 2-sport star Alessia Salzillo. Keys to the second half for UMass Boston, got to keep up what they're doing. But you'd also like to see them find ways to get inside on that 2-3 zone. Three-point shooting is great. 44% three-point shooting is spectacular. You also worry it might not be sustainable. As much as Meg Dixon has done well, as much as Paige Olivier has done well, it's the sort of offense that can abandon you sometimes. And finding a way other than transition layups to earn points in the paint would not be the worst thing for UMass Boston here. They also got to tighten up their hold on the offensive glass. They have enough size that they ought to be beating Plymouth State in this category. They can survive without doing these things, mind you, but they need to find a way to score and clean up the glass for when they're playing bigger, taller, stronger teams later on in the season. For Plymouth, there's a lot of things you got to fix, including getting more people involved. Jalen Cook has played well. Jalen Cook will probably continue to play well. But Jalen Cook cannot carry the entire offensive load. Plymouth has got to overcome the lack of size that they've got. They need to make better use of the perimeter. They need to earn a wider variety of shots. They've had success on some back cuts. Points where they could clear out the paint and go to work with layups without having to contend with the height of Meg Dixon or Sarah St. Surin, for that matter, of Vienna Monestein when she's entered the game. They have to find ways to continue doing that. They have to find ways to make it a bigger part of their diets. UMass Boston came into this game 7 points, or averaging a negative 7-point margin. It's good for second to last in the conference. Plymouth State is minus 18. Their only win this season was a 2-point win over Westfield State in the non-conference. They lost their other 7 games, 3 of them conference games, 5 of the 7 by more than 20 points. So this is a team UMass Boston should be beating arguably by double digits. They want to show, even in a depleted state, even amid the surge of cases that has cost every team some manpower over these last couple weeks, and in fact has cost them some games without exception. They need to show, if they want to try to compete in the LEC this season, they need to dispose of this Panther team. And this Panther team needs to show that it can pull out a game down the stretch. 0-3 in conference for them, still looking for their first LEC win. Both of these teams, bottom of the conference in a lot of statistical categories, but for UMass Boston, a chance to show here and in their next couple weeks that a lot of that was due to the missing personnel, to the injuries that they had, to the lack of Kaylee Haynes, who we have not seen today, while she was adjusting from trying to get back from the women's soccer season. Team can expect to have her back hopefully very soon. But they misfire in their first attempt of the second half, and here we go. Entry pass to Haley Hurd at the elbow, clutching the ball like a child clutches the Halloween candy, and finding Vlahovic. Moving into the middle. Lefty flip shot. A lot of incidental contact there, and Jashari Green just eats the pass. Storming the other way into the lane. Farina, short jump shot, well long. Jashari Green on the cleanup. Powerful frame, and another Pair of points on the putback for the sophomore. The local kid making her mark on the Harbor campus. Sullivan with a steal, keeps it in bounds. Surveying up court, Dixon a little surprised by the pass, but corrals it nonetheless. They go back to Sullivan. Driving left, Green to the middle. Sonny Green thought about it, and that is a little questionable, I have to say, on the traveling call. They are tight with that traveling call. As I mentioned before, they're tight with how they call it when you're putting the dribble down for the first time. But I don't think the pivot foot moved on that one for Sonny Green. Natalie Harris in the game with the 2 fouls. Green disrupts the pass, and it'll be a trigger from the baseline. 15 seconds to go on the shot clock. Vienna Monesteem coming in for Sonny Green. Vlahovic to trigger. Jalen Cook, by far the game's leading scorer. Off to Vlahovic. Little short fake. Drives way too strong on the layup. And UMass Boston will take it the other way. 8-point lead for the Beacons here. Just 2 points for these teams combined through the opening 2 minutes of play in the third quarter. The momentum is ripe for the taking. Farina. Jashari Green will try her first 3 of the day. No good. And Vlahovic tracks the rebound well, and Kat Sullivan, little too over-aggressive in the pursuit, picks up a foul. Second foul for Sullivan. Now Alessia Salzillo, she's got Jashari Green a lot taller and a lot longer limbed, pressuring her. This is Heather Jacobs' way of trying to get some size on her without compromising the speed, but Salzillo did catch Jashari Green flat-footed a couple times. She does it again on the back cut. High-motored and revving it at every opportunity is Alessia Salzillo. 8 points now. And they cut the lead back down to 6. Salzillo just never stops moving, with the ball, without the ball, on defense, as the case may be. It has been difficult for UMass Boston to answer for her. 4 rebounds as well for the smallest player on the court by far. There is nobody else on the floor who's within 4 inches of her. She's 5'1", and yet she has snagged as many rebounds as, do the quick math here, all but 4 players. Sabrina Vlahovic has got 10 rebounds already. Nobody on the UMass Boston side has more than 4. And so the rebounding battle very clearly going to Plymouth State. The offensive rebound battle clearly going to Plymouth State. And being closer to the ground is not going to explain all of that, or even any of it. UMass Boston needs to tighten things up on the boards. The second chance points are somehow not killing them, and the only reason I think it's not is because Jashari Green has been so effective when she's gotten her opportunities. The offensive rebounds, if nothing else, are going to mean that UMass Boston has to expend more energy on the defensive end than they would like. It eventually drains the offense. So the glass going to be a critical area to improve in the second half here as Jashari Green comes up through a light press. Salzillo on her. As far as Green's offensive rebounding goes, it's going to mean someone's got to box her out when the shot goes up. Even if it's hers, especially if it's hers. But Salzillo picks her pocket. Green rips it back. And a pass picked off by an alert Sabrina Vlahovic. Salzillo driving, finds the lane, but can't find the bucket. Farina saves it, and Salzillo there again. Harris thought about a 3. Monesteem closes to the right wing. Tapped out of bounds there, alert hands. Vienna Monesteem looking for her first strong game of the season. Missed some time due to injury. She will sub back off. She hasn't gotten an extended stretch run here. Played just 7 minutes across the first 23 minutes of game time. Jalen Cook driving into the lane. Kick. Driving now. Stripped of the ball. And a foul. A foul right as the shot clock expired. It's assessed to UMass Boston. Going against Paige Olivier. And that is a tough call to take. Olivier, her first foul of the game. Nobody in foul trouble yet on either side. Something we figured was going to come into play in some fashion. So far it has not. Misfiring on the first free throw is Natalie Harris. And now misfiring on the second. So the foul doesn't do any harm. Dixon corrals the miss, and the Beacons set off down their way. Dixon, firing a lot of shots in the early going, has been relatively quiet since then. Still got 11 points. And an offensive foul here. Carrie-Ann Farina called for the off-arm shove. The officials today, Anthony Bagnoli, Michael Brennan, Thomas Giblin working this one for us. Haley Hurd flips it up good on the short shot. Just outside the restricted area, she puts it down for her first bucket. Dixon closely guarded by Vlahovic. She backs off. Dixon fires! Meg Dixon, 14 points to lead the Beacons. Vlahovic, I think there was a bit of contact and she backed off trying to prevent the official from blowing the whistle. Dixon does not need to be asked twice given that amount of space. She is 3 of 8 from downtown, 4 rebounds and a couple of blocks to her name. 14 points tops for the Beacons. Ryla Gonzalez subbing off. Haley Hurd subbing off. Jessica Ruiz coming on for Plymouth State. Paige Olivier re-entering. She's out there with Jashari Green, Meg Dixon, Kat Sullivan, Carrie-Ann Farina. For Plymouth State, Alessia Salzillo, Jalen Cook, Sabrina Vlahovic, Jessica Ruiz, and Natalie Harris. Cook, crossover, loses the ball, just does save it. There's 1 second on the shot clock. Vlahovic just got it off, gets her own rebound, and puts it back in. A strong defensive possession for the Beacons ends in tragedy, as the putback neutralizes the effort and shrinks the lead to 5. Paige Olivier driving, finds Dixon. Dixon looking to attack, just gets it to Farina. And a foul on the pass. If that goes against Harris, that is her 3rd, and it will be. Immediately a substitution. Sarah Sweet, who has seen just 12 minutes of action to this point, second fewest on the Panthers, re-enters the game in Harris's stead. Kat Sullivan drives, dump-off pass to Green, beautifully done in close quarters. Kat Sullivan, as usual, active and making things happen. And now she picks up Salzillo, who swings to Vlahovic on the far baseline, back to Salzillo. Driving in, held off, and the Beacons force the turnover. We've got a call here. It was a timeout that Heather Jacobs asked for. With Green on the floor, it wound up killing a fast break in all likelihood there. You understand the call. You don't want to pile up to cause a jump ball. You can secure a possession for your team. It's also possible she just wanted to talk to him anyway. But Jashari Green alertly got the ball to Dixon, and UMass Boston had a 2-on-1 in the cards there if they could set it up right. Either way, they lead this one 46-39. Tying their largest lead of the game. Jashari Green on the last bucket to put him there. She's got 9 points, and aside from the free throw, I wagered decent money that all of them have been on putbacks. She brings that kind of activity every time she sets foot on the court. Advantage of a player like that, someone you don't necessarily have to run a ton of offense for her to hit double figures on any given day. So it's UMass Boston ball after the timeout. Dixon, Olivier, Jashari Green, Farina, and Kat Sullivan out there for Heather Jacobs, for Leah Swanson, Jessica Ruiz, Sabrina Vlahovic, Sarah Sweet, Jalen Cook, and Alessia Salzillo. Sullivan handoff. Olivier contested long three. No good. Vlahovic rips down her 12th rebound of the game. Unbelievable activity from her. She's got it at the left elbow. Paige Olivier on her. Earns some space for her teammate, for Sweet. Oh! Who's getting the ball down? So you got that gentleman right there with it. There we go. Does she get credit for the bucket? He's happy. He's like, do I get credit for the bucket? Jump ball means it goes to UMass Boston. Arrow goes back Plymouth's way. Olivier already looking very assertive for someone in her first game with his team. You love to see it. Dixon fires for three, no good. Jashari Green, are you kidding me? Another offensive rebound, this time can't make it happen. And Dixon can't chase down the board. Green a little overzealous pursuing in transition. Fouls from behind. That's her second of the game. And a quick check on Sabrina Vlahovic. Only a sophomore here. Her season high in rebounds was 11. She's beaten that. Last season, only 8. So this is a career high in rebounds for her. She's got 13, and she is far from done. She has more rebounds than the Beacon's three biggest contributors in that category put together. She has the majority of her team's rebounds. And she has played every minute of this game, as has Salzillo, as has Jalen Cook. Jessica Ruiz misfires on the first free throw. UMass Boston's gotten only 4 free throws. They've made 3 of them. Plymouth State has tried 12. This is going to be number 13. They've left 5 of them on the table. 46-40. Seven points for each team here in the third quarter. Has not been an offensive shootout by any measure. Sullivan with a drive. Green, step back. That's a long 2, and it's down. Jashari Green expanding the range. Dixon now. Farina to Dixon. 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. It's going to be a kick. There's officials trying to communicate with one another there. It's going to be a kick ball called against Plymouth. UMass Boston will trigger from underneath their own basket. Jashari Green diving to the basket. 50-40. And UMass Boston has found a couple of quick buckets here to produce their largest lead of the game so far. Plymouth now has run down a lot of shot clock on this possession. Salzillo's going to have to make something out of it and draws a blocking foul. Alessia Salzillo sliding her shoulders into a place where only she can get him and earning enough contact here. Looks like she may have banged knees with somebody. She's trying to shake it off as she steps to the charity stripe, where she is 2 for 2 thus far. Haley Hurd returns. Jalen Cook is going to take her first rest of the game. Now only 3 players, Carrie-Ann Farina on the Beacon side, Salzillo and Vlahovic. On this, there's a little bit of confusion there. They thought it was 1-1, but that was a shooting foul. That's 2 shots for Salzillo. Only Salzillo, Vlahovic, and Dixon. I'll try that again a third time, get that right. Carrie-Ann Farina and Vlahovic and Salzillo are the 3 who have played every minute. A Beacon and 2 Panthers. 50-41 here. Dixon, open, 3, yes! Meg Dixon with her 5th three-pointer of the game. And she's tied Jalen Cook for the game high with 17 points. Jalen Cook immediately back to the scorer's table as this game's starting to get away from Plymouth. Ruiz finds Salzillo. Thought about a long 3. She's looking for a driving angle. Finds Sweet for 3. Can't answer. Farina chases down the rebound. Minute 10 left to play in the third quarter. And UMass Boston all of a sudden trying to run away with this one. Sullivan surveying. Waves Dixon to the basket. Not a whole lot of movement here. Farina flashes to the block. Now to the corner as she fields the pass. Sunny Green for 3. No good. Dixon, rebound, put back. Good. Back-to-back buckets for Meg Dixon. And a 14-point lead for the Beacons. Ruiz, face-up fake. Now tries the jumper. Well short. Jashari Green rebounds, and the Beacons can hold for the last shot if they want it. Farina driving instead. Loses the ball. Pokes it. And we're going the other way. It looks like a holding call on Farina. And it'll be the Panthers instead, with a chance to seize back just a smidge of momentum heading into the final period of play. Some debate about what's going on here. It looks like they will be shooting here. They're in the bonus. And so it's a couple of free throws now for Sarah Sweet. There was some confusion on the last one about whether it was a 1-on-1 opportunity or not. It's going to be 2 shots here for Sweet. UMass Boston committed 7 team fouls here in the third. Sweet hits 1 of 2. Jashari Green snatches the rebound. Green knifing into the middle. Kick. Dixon. Corner. Long 2 is good. Another one from Meg Dixon. Cook fires from beyond half court. No good. And the UMass Boston Beacons end the period on a high note. And on their largest lead of the afternoon, 15 points over the Panthers. We're going to take a quick break and be right back to you with a fourth quarter from the Clark Athletic Center. Stick around for that. Sometimes I get it.
Can they hear me?
10 minutes of action left to play here as Alessia Salzillo trying to put Sullivan in the blender, but instead Dixon picks off the pass. A chance to run. Dixon in the open floor. Farina, what a catch! And a traveling call. You got to admire how much they're sticking to it, I suppose. How up on the dribbling calls they are and how closely they monitor the first step. But you do have to wonder on some of these whether they're really processing where the catch is being made. Farina did not corral that ball right when it hit her hand as Jalen Cook spins and wins in the paint. The traveling call, or the number of steps that you would evaluate when you're deciding whether it's a traveling call, begins once the player actually has possession of the ball. If they're still trying to snatch it out of the air, that step that they land on does not count. Salzillo with Green giving chase. Oh, what a spin! Alessia Salzillo puts Green in the meat grinder. Oh, my Lord. What a motor. Sunny Green responds with a three. Not to be embarrassed, not to be outdone. She fires back and puts the Beacons at 60 points on the afternoon. Salzillo with a beautiful entry into Cook. Back and forth they go. And Alessia Salzillo continues to impress. As one play-by-play announcer once said of Kemba Walker, the little guard with a monster ticker. She's been showing out in every facet of the game. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. The only player on her team to play all 31 minutes thus far. As Cook misfires on the free throw. Sunny Green's got 4 fouls now. She's going to the bench. Jashari Green has 3. Ryla Gonzalez has 3. On the Plymouth side, only Natalie Harris has 3, and she's only played about half the minutes anyway. So Plymouth has a chance here. The shot will count. And the foul away from the ball. Meg Dixon with her 6th three-pointer. Slowly but surely, she has stuffed the stat sheet. The officials talking it over. If the foul occurs in the act of shooting, even away from the ball, the shot does count. And now they're going to say no basket, deeming a foul to have occurred before the shot. If Kat Sullivan gets fouled while Meg Dixon is shooting a 3 and that 3 goes in, what the call is supposed to be is a made 3-point basket and one with the free throw to be shot not by the shooter, but by the player who was fouled. The explanation for that call then would be that Dixon did not enter the act of shooting until after the foul occurred. Carrie-Ann Farina, no good. And so Meg Dixon's going to stay at 5 3-pointers. Her career high is 7, which maybe makes the long 2 that she hit at the end of the last period sting a little bit. But still very much in play for her. Ruiz fires. Jump shot is good. Good-looking stroke from Jessica Ruiz. Dixon also knocking on the door of a career high here. She scored 28 against Mitchell on November 13th of this season. A player who missed a lot of time with injuries, prompting Heather Jacobs, the head coach, to say that her resume is not equivalent to her resident status. And we have seen exactly what she's talking about this season. 21 on the day for Dixon. Surrounded, double team, finds Olivier for 3. It's good! Paige Olivier, 4 3-pointers in her first game on the Harbor campus. Ruiz now serving. Finds Cook. Fires. Answers. Jalen Cook with a game-high 20 points on just 14 shots. Olivier in the corner. Step back three. No good. Heat check shot there for her. Fight on the floor. It's a jump ball. It'll stay with the Beacons. Six minutes, 57 remaining. UMass Boston still up by 12. The largest lead was 15 just a couple moments ago. And a foul here called away from the ball, assessed to Cook. That is her third. And keep an eye on her foul total. Natalie Harris, her teammate, has gone back to the bench with 4. Jashari Green on the inbounds to Dixon in the post. Hook around, no good. Oh, and she is down. Meg Dixon took a hard fall there. And there's going to be a timeout called here as Dixon looks like he landed awkwardly on her back. She is walking up court under her own power. She's going to sub off here. Sunny Green, who's got 4 fouls, will re-enter the game in place of Dixon, who's going to go get this looked at right now, you would think. UMass praying for the best here. Dixon has missed too many games in her UMass Boston career. Had that combo ACL and MCL tear in December of 2018. Took her a couple of years to work her way back into proper playing shape. Cook fires a desperation 3 well off. Missed the apparatus just about altogether. So Dixon's going to get looked at behind the bench. UMass Boston has a 12-point lead to protect with her out. Jashari Green driving right. Offensive foul is the ruling. And things continue to go south for the Beacons. Jashari Green just picked up her 4th foul. So they've got 2 players, the Beacons do, out on the floor right now for whom the next foul is the last. And they've got 6 minutes left to hold a 12-point lead. Plymouth is smelling blood in the water. Salzillo shifts gears, kicks out to Ruiz. Tip, but it gets there. Ruiz back to Salzillo. She'll try a 3. Well short. Salzillo's only her 2nd 3-point try of the day. Dixon talking to the assistant coaches now, retaking her seat on the bench. We will see if she pops back into the game at some point. Kat Sullivan. Sunny Green. Jashari Green. Farina. 3. No. Oh, and they're going to earn another possession. The pressure of Sunny Green forces Vlahovic to step on the unline. And a spare possession for UMass Boston. Another scoring chance. But not just that, a chance to waste more time. It's a 4-possession game here. Make it 5. Paige Olivier in Dixon's stead. With a stellar first game for the blue and white. 14 points on just 9 attempts from the field. Cook faces up, no good. Rebound, who wants it more? Kat Sullivan wants it more, but a jump ball is going to send it back to Plymouth State. Alessia Salzillo will take her first seat of the game as we turn into crunch time. You had to wonder if she was ever going to take a seat with the amount of effort that she has expended. If not for Jalen Cook's 22 points, we'd be gushing about her even more. Inbound to Sweet. Tie up, loose ball, Cook's got it. To Hurd. Olivier claps to distract her, but to no avail. Over the tight contest. Leads back down to 12. Olivier 14 points. Trying to take up the mantle with Meg Dixon on the bench after a hard fall. She feels to the opposite corner. Farina takes the ball up top. Sunny Green screaming for it, and she gets it. Wide open on the right block, and an easy layup for her. Sunny Green's got 10. And playing with 4 fouls, she gets it done to make it a 5-possession game. Plymouth State has got to solve a lot of issues, and they got to do it quickly. Vlahovic, good Lord, with the rebounding. 16th rebound for Sabrina Vlahovic. Kat Sullivan once again getting in there. And another jump ball is going to send it the Beacons' way. Here comes Meg Dixon. Here comes Alessia Salzillo. Here comes a timeout, apparently. Man, coaches know how to call timeouts to just absolutely kill the momentum here. The players are interested in scoring momentum. I, for your sake, am interested in narrative momentum, but we're going to have to wait another 60 seconds to get there. 67-53 reads the scoreboard here with 3 minutes 56 to play. Meg Dixon going to re-enter the game on the Beacon side. Alessia Salzillo on the Panthers side. Dixon, as you saw, took a hard fall underneath the basket, pursuing a loose rebound. Just a few minutes ago, got checked out behind the bench. She is going to try to go here. Salzillo, only time for a brief rest here. With her going to the bench, that leaves Carrie Ann Farina as the only player who has not taken a seat the entire game. She will come out with Sunny Green, 4 fouls still. Jashari Green also with 4 fouls. Kat Sullivan and Meg Dixon. For the Panthers, Jessica Ruiz, Sabrina Vlahovic, Alessia Salzillo, Jalen Cook, and Sarah Sweet. Over the timeline come the Beacons. In no rush here. Dixon up top. Interesting to see how she moves after the fall. Tie up here. There's a thicket of 3 players. Who's getting the foul on this one? It's going against Sweet. 4th team foul for Plymouth State. The next one should be free throws. Calling out the play here. Kat Sullivan to trigger. Shot clock's at 20. Dixon, long 2. She's got it. The shot stays for Meg Dixon. She's got 23 to lead all scorers. Sarah Sweet, tough runner. Oh, what a shot there. Difficult angle for that shot, but she gets it down nonetheless. Beacons break the pressure. Farina. Jashari Green around the screen from Sullivan. Loses the handle right there, just does recover. Dixon. Oh, what a pass! And a traveling call there against Kat Sullivan. Maybe would have been better served trying to lay it up herself, but nevertheless could not corral the pass. It was a beautiful idea from Dixon. There is also such a thing as too good a pass. One that your teammates aren't ready for, but you'd like to see Sullivan corral that one. Nonetheless, 14-point lead for the Beacons here. Vlahovic, Jalen Cook going to work, and cooks the defender for 2 more. 24 points. A scintillating performance from Jalen Cook here, likely in a losing effort as Jashari Green loses the ball on the way to the basket. Vlahovic with another rebound and draws a foul. Jashari Green has fouled out of this one with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to play. Sabrina Vlahovic, if you can believe it, 16 rebounds. That one arguably could have been a 17th, but it was deemed to be a steal instead of a shot attempt and a rebound. So Paige Olivier is popping back into the game with Jashari Green fouling out. Olivier's put up 14 points in her UMass Boston debut. Heather Jacobs looking at maybe another weapon. Shot well short there, might have gotten a piece of it. Salzillo short as well. Another offensive rebound. Natalie Harris gets it back out. Sunny Green picks off the pass and secures the loose ball. Olivier sprinting to the far corner. Rest of the Beacons filling into the middle. Farina finds Olivier, but miscommunication on the pass there, and it trickles out of bounds. Salzillo here with this one all but decided. Jessica Ruiz up top, into the middle now. And no call there on a lot of contact as Ruiz came down the middle. And it's going UMass Boston's way in any case. Sunny Green taking a sizable hit there. Ruiz has got some power coming down the lane. Minute 35 to go, a full court press to break. Paige Olivier diving on the ball there, and the pressure forces a jump ball. It's going to go back to Plymouth State. Possession arrow will go to UMass Boston now. And a 5-second violation. They give it right back. Sunny Green charging up court now. Paige Olivier behind the defense. Paige Olivier, welcome to UMass Boston. 16 points in her very first game for the Beacons. The advantage, I suppose, of not having fans at these games amid the surge of the Omicron variant, the way that it's quiet in a gym like this, means if you listen carefully enough, you can hear some of the things that the coaches are shouting out there. They've got to be quiet enough in the huddles that the opposing coach and the opposing players, for that matter, can't pick up the strategy. But they can also yell out to their players in the same way they normally would and have no issues being heard. You can hear Heather Jacobs just get in the huddle and discuss it. Stepping to the line now, Sabrina Vlahovic. Knocks down the first. Only 8 points. And I say only not to discount the rest of the performance, but she's been so phenomenal on the boards that you almost assume she should have 20 points by now. She's had a stellar game. And she knocks down both free throws. Outlet pass, wide open. Dixon will leave it for Olivier. Easiest assist of Meg Dixon's career. As UMass Boston breaks the press. Olivier's got 18 now. Vlahovic the other way. She's in double figures now. Double-double. 11 points, 16 rebounds, and they'll lay the intentional foul on Ryla Gonzalez. That's 2 shots. They're in the bonus with 57 seconds to play. With her 5th foul, Sunny Green is out as well. So UMass Boston's got 7 players they can work with for the last minute or so. Knocks down the first. Pair of free throws in for Ryla Gonzalez. The Beacons lead is back to 14. Into Ruiz. Great pass, couldn't finish. Cook stripped and fouled. It's going to be Carrie-Ann Farina with her second foul of the game. There's going to be 2 shots here for Jalen Cook. Cook misfires on the first free throw. For all the wonder that she's worked in her game today, it has not been her day at the free throw line. She's just 1 for 6. Vlahovic, goodness, just ripping down the rebound, earning the jump ball here. But it's going to go to UMass Boston. Sabrina Vlahovic, if they credit her with a rebound for that, as opposed to it's going down as a team rebound here, even though, honestly, it probably, there we go. It's corrected. 17 rebounds, 7 of them offensive for Sabrina Vlahovic. A career high by a mile. And easily one of the best rebounding performances we are going to see in the Little East Conference this season. (75-61) for the Beacons. Team battered. They started like their opponent with only 9 available players. They're down to 7 now, with Jashari Green and Sunny Green both fouled out. Salzillo to trigger, 46 seconds to play. Pass comes in. Vlahovic with a nice find of Jalen Cook. Step back 3, air ball. Sullivan fouled there. And you do have to wonder exactly the merits of playing the fouling game in a 5-possession, with a 5-possession deficit to make up. I mean, your best case scenario here is 5 stops, either in the form of missed free throws, which would have to be about 10 missed free throws, or steals, and then 5 3-point shots in 40 seconds. I'm not sure if it's barely possible if your opponent is handing you the ball. Maybe the fight till the end, foot on the gas sort of mentality here. It seems a little bit like a lost cause here, as another timeout called here by Plymouth State. Gotta be honest, I don't really understand the motive here. I mean, 5 3-point shots here. You would need a 3-point shot and a foul on average every 8 seconds here just to tie this game up. This barely makes sense if the lead is half of what it is, let alone where it is now. But Plymouth State content to milk this one for all it's worth. So the last 40 seconds of this one may well take 40 minutes, but we're glad you're here. Alessia Salzillo to trigger. Sabrina Vlahovic to Cook in the corner. Driving baseline to Ruiz, backs up behind the 3-point line, swatted by Dixon. And Salzillo draws the foul on a wild scoop attempt. 3rd block of the game for Meg Dixon, who has a completely ripe stat line all around. 34 minutes of play. She's got 23 points on 5 3-pointers. She's got a pair of free throws, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists and blocks, 4 steals to her name. The 3rd block coming there on a 3-point try from Jessica Ruiz. Not exactly a comfortable 3-point shooter, but desperation time. Kat Sullivan always first to the ground. Outlet pass. Farina's going to dribble it out. And the Panthers playing close defense here but they're going to call off the fouling here. And UMass Boston, with their second conference win of the season, they take it over Plymouth State, 76-62. Meg Dixon, 23 points. Paige Olivier, 18 in her UMass Boston debut to overcome a fantastic trio of performances from Jalen Cook with 24 points, from Sabrina Vlahovic with an unconscionable 17 rebounds, and Alessia Salzillo, who made everything happen for this Plymouth State team. Fantastic battle between these squads. A lot for both of them to be proud of, but ultimately UMass Boston just had too much firepower for the Panthers to overcome, and that is going to be the way this one ends. Dixon took a fall late in the fourth quarter, looked to be grabbing at her back, walked it off, took a few minutes out of the game, and eventually made her way back and helped the team down the stretch. I'm going to take a quick look at the final stats before we sign off here. UMass Boston led the way in a lot of categories. They struggled to keep up with rebounding, especially offensive rebounding. But they did well in transition. They did well from behind the arc. I'm going to take a quick look ahead at the UMass Boston schedule. There was supposed to be more than one game this week. There was one against Castleton that was postponed. But next week, it's going to be UMass Dartmouth on the 12th. It is going to be Keene State College on the 15th. Both of those are road games. They will come back on the 19th and 22nd for matchups at the University of Southern, against the University of Southern Maine again, and against Eastern Connecticut. UMass Boston really trying to establish themselves. They move to 3-7, 2-2 in conference play, and they're going to have a trying stretch of conference games ahead of them. I want to say a thank you to our production team before we sign off. Our producer, Seth Orensky, our director, Tam Landry, and our camera operator, Georgia Bonney, for the help that they put in today. Once again, the final score from the Clark Athletic Center. UMass Boston takes it 76-62. For Milton Posner and all of us here at UMass Boston, thank you so very much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.